The gods and goddesses of the underworld dwelt in a magical realm deep beneath the earth. The chthonic deities wielded power over death, rebirth, fertility, wisdom and sorcery in the Celtic tradition. The Gauls believed the souls of their ancestors resided in the subterranean regions of the Dubnos. The Dubnos, meaning dark domain or lower world, was a strange and shadowy place. The spirits waited in the underworld until it was time for their rebirth in the mortal realm. The Gallic tribes believed the universe was divided into three distinct realms. The Bita, meaning world of living beings, was the mortal realm. The Albios, or upper world, was inhabited by the deities of the sky. The souls of their ancestors dwelt in the subterranean lands of the Dubnos. Cernunnos was the foremost deity of Gaul between the Iron Age and the Roman era. Devotees paid homage to Cernunnos as an antlered god of forests, wild animals, fertility and rebirth. Cernunnos protected the souls of the dead in the underworld and guided their rebirth in the mortal realm. Julius Caesar may have referred to Cernunnos as Dis Pater. The Romans paid homage to Dis Pater as an older Roman god of the underworld. He wrote, "All the Gauls assert that they are descended from the god Dis and say that this tradition has been handed down by the Druids." Ericura was a widely revered Celtic goddess of fertility and the underworld. Evidence of her cult has been found in France, Germany, Britain, Switzerland, and the Balkans. The Romans likened Ericura to Proserpina, the wife of Hades and goddess of the netherworld. Dis Pater was the divine consort of Ericura on a statue at Obersebach in Switzerland. A sculpture at Ettlingen in Baden-Württemberg, Germany, also depicted Dis Pater and Ericura as an otherworldly couple. Ericura held a key in her hand while cradling a basket of fruit in her lap. The key opened the doorway to the underworld. Her husband, Dis Pater, read the scroll of life. The Druids deemed caves and underground passages as entrances to the underworld. The gateways to the netherworld also lay beneath watery places such as sacred wells and marshes. Tombs, cemeteries, dolmens and menhirs were among the man-made structures that led to the lower world. The Larzac tablet was a lead curse tablet discovered at Aveyron in southern France. A devotee used the tablet to invoke the power of Adsicsona, the goddess of the underworld in the 2nd century AD. Adsicsona, meaning weaver of spells, was a goddess of magic and the underworld in the Aquitaine region of France. Groups of women met in private and summoned Adsicsona during divination rituals. The sorceresses used the Larzac tablet against a seer called Severa Tertianigna. She was the leader of a rival coven of women. The curse tablet was a secret rite dedicated to Adsicsona written in Gaulish. O Adsicsona, look twice at Severa Tertianigna, their priestess of thread and their priestess of writing, behold the magic of women, their underworld names, the prophecy of the seer who weaves this magic. Ankou was the mythical collector of the souls of the dead in the folklore of Brittany. The origins of Ankou were unknown. Some legends claimed Ankou was an evil prince who met death while hunting in a forest. The prince placed a wager with Death that he could hunt and kill a black stag. Death won the bet and transformed the evil prince into his ghostly servant, Ankou. The souls of the dead and unearthly races of the otherworld roamed freely among the living during the feast of Samhain. The powers of the underworld were their most potent during the dark half of the year. The 4 branches of the Mabinogi recounted the Welsh god, Baron, was lord of Ann. He protected the souls of the dead in his otherworldly kingdom of Ann. The word Ann was derived from the term Andi Dubious, meaning a very deep place in Gaulish. Dawn, or the Dark One, was a chieftain of the Milesians in Irish mythology. He fought in the war against the gods and goddesses of the Tuatha Dé Danann during the invasion of Ireland. The Tuatha Dé Danann used enchantment to conjure a storm at sea. The storm prevented the ship carrying Donn and his men from landing in Ireland. Donn and his crew drowned after the vessel foundered in the raging waters of the sea. The Milesians buried Donn on the Skellig Islands, on the southwest coast of Ireland. Donn prevailed as the Lord of the Dead. He welcomed the souls to his home on Bull Island. The spirits waited at Tech Duin, or the House of Donn, until the time came to leave on his ship. Donn and his ghostly passengers voyaged across the ocean to the lands of the Otherworld in the west. Vosegus was the god of forests, wild animals, and the underworld in Gaul. The sacred animal of his cult was the stag. Stags symbolized the primordial power wielded by earth gods over rebirth and the otherworld. The loyal hound in the depictions of Vosegus implied dogs guided and protected the souls in the afterlife. Hounds were familiar symbols of healing, protection in the underworld in the Celtic territories. According to Welsh mythology, the phantom hounds of Ynn searched for the souls in the mortal realm. The supernatural hounds led the spirits to the otherworldly home in Ynn. Cunamaglis, meaning Hound Lord, was a god of hunting and healing in southwest England. A relief of Cunamaglis at a Romano-Celtic temple in Nettleton Shrub portrayed him as a dog guarding the entrance to the underworld. The Romans paired Cunamaglis with Apollo, the Roman god of healing, at the sanctuary in the 1st century AD. Classical writers remarked on the fascination of the Gauls with the afterlife and the underworld. The Greek philosopher, Strabo, described a persistent dread among the Gauls that some cataclysmic event would destroy the Bitu. Strabo wrote, "Not only the Druids, but others as well, say that men's souls, and also the universe, are indestructible, although both fire and water will at some time or other prevail over them." Ancestor worship and the afterlife were dominant themes in the Celtic territories. Devotees paid homage to the deities of the underworld so the souls of their loved ones may be protected against the forces of evil in the netherworld.